Hey everyone, Jason here, and welcome back to The Layout. When you think about large steam locomotives, which ones come to mind? The Big Boy, the Yellowstone, the Challenger? When I was a kid growing up, there were three large articulated locomotives that I considered to be the big three. Those were the Chesapeake and Ohio Allegheny, the Union Pacific Big Boy, and the Erie Triplex. I viewed these three trains as virtually unobtainable. They were too large to operate on my then layout and far too expensive for a kid like me to ever hope to afford. Fast forward to today, and I feel very blessed to say that I have all three of them in my collection, and I have a large enough layout that I can easily operate them on. So today we're going to be looking at and running these three engines on my layout, the biggest steam engines in my collection, and perhaps some of the biggest ever produced in no gauge. And before you ask, they all require a minimum 072 curve to operate. So sit back and relax as we take a look at my big three locomotives and run them around the layout right now on Jason's O-Gauge Trains. Before we get to the first engine, I want to give a shout out to my affiliate partner Trains.com, who sold me the Erie coal cars that you'll see operating in today's video. Trains.com is a great website for purchasing new and used model trains in all scales from all manufacturers. And if you shop at Trains.com using my affiliate link in the description of this video, or simply use promo code JDStucks at checkout, you'll receive $10 off of your next online order. Again, that's promo code JDStucks for $10 off of your next order at Trains.com. That's Trains with a Z. Okay, let's look at each individual big three engine in the order that they were added to my collection. Up first is the mighty Chesapeake and Ohio Allegheny number 1601. This is an MTH Premier Line locomotive and is MTH item number 20-3505-1. Cataloged in MTH's 2013 Volume 2 catalog and delivered in July 2014. This engine is modeled after the C&O Allegheny that's preserved in the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan, which is only about 25 minutes from where I currently live. I saw it as a little kid growing up and was blown away by its sheer size. And I saw it again about a year ago, and guess what? I was still blown away by how large this locomotive is. When MTH released this model, my dad and I knew we had to get one. When it came out in 2014, I was a recent college graduate and therefore rather broke. So my dad and I decided to go 50-50 on the purchase, and I'll tell you what, it's been worth every penny. It's the second largest locomotive in my fleet, and I love watching it pull this coal drag around the layout, especially when it climbs the grade to my upper level. Next up is the one and only Union Pacific Big Boy, made by MTH, and it's even larger than the C&O Allegheny we just looked at. It measures 35 inches in length, which is 3 inches longer than the Allegheny. Not only that, but my buddy Adam from Train Wizard Productions on YouTube measured it next to the Lionel Legacy Big Boy, and MTH's model is actually slightly longer. It was cataloged in MTH's 2020 Volume 2 catalog and delivered in October of 2020. I honestly wasn't sure I'd ever own one of these. The Big Boy was like unobtainium growing up, but once I saw the real 4014 get restored and go on its first excursion run, I knew I had to get one, and so I placed a pre-order right away. When I initially purchased this engine, it was actually too large for my old layout. But again, today I have this new layout being built, and the Big Boy has no problem negotiating the curves, switches, and elevation changes. I did a full video on this locomotive last year, which I will link in the description below. Now, if you've watched my channel for a while, you'll know that the Allegheny and the Big Boy are kind of old news, but this third and final locomotive is not. This is the MTH Premier Line Erie Triplex. My dad and I used to joke about buying this locomotive more than any of the others. It was simply the most over-the-top engine we had ever seen. And the thought of operating one, let alone the thought of paying for one, made it seem like an unobtainable item. So we used to always joke about buying a triplex. But guess what, Dad? We don't have to joke about it anymore because I went out and bought one. This is MTH item number 20-3612-1. It was cataloged in the 2015 Volume 2 catalog and delivered in February of 2016. And while it's the smallest of the three locomotives we're looking at today, it's definitely the most unique looking and eye-catching. Not only is it painted in this beautiful Russian iron blue, but it has a 2-8-8-8-2 wheel arrangement, meaning it has 2 pilot wheels up front, a set of 8 drive wheels under the boiler, a second set of 8 drive wheels under the boiler, and most uniquely, a third set of 8 drive wheels located under the tender, followed by 2 trailing wheels. So the fact that it has the 3 sets of drive wheels is where it gets its name Triplex from. And while it's an awesome looking and great operating model, the same could not be said about the prototype. The extra set of drive wheels meant there was less storage in the tender for coal and water. The locomotive would burn through its fuel very quickly, therefore reducing the weight of the tender, and therefore the drive wheels under the tender would lose tractive effort. So they kind of became glorified pusher locomotives while in service, which only lasted from 1914 to 1930 before being retired. But we don't have to worry about that today because this model runs flawlessly and it's packed with cool features. Besides the usual MTH features such as a great sound set and smoke unit over the smoke box, it has an additional smoke unit at the rear of the tender, which means this locomotive can fill the basement with smoke really fast. Just look at how much smoke this thing puts out. I have to thank my good friends and Detroit three-railer members Greg and Daniel Browning for selling me this locomotive. I had been on the hunt for one for quite a while, and while the Brownings were at the Spring York Train Show, they found a black triplex for sale from Mr. Muffin's Trains. It was for sale for a really great price, and I told them I would take it, even though I really wanted the Russian Iron Blue version. However, when they got home from York, they surprised me by selling me number 5016, the blue one, from their personal collection. So Greg and Daniel, I can't thank you enough for selling me this engine. You're both a class act, and I am lucky to call you guys my friend. So that's my big three: the C&O Allegheny, the Union Pacific Big Boy, and the Erie Triplex. What are your big three locomotives? I'd like to know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Ask questions in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And a final announcement, since many of you have been asking, I will be attending the York Train Show in October 2022. I will be there all 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But that's not all. During the York Train Show, myself, Chris from RBP Trains, Eric Siegel from Eric's Trains, and Norm Charbonneau from Norm's Trains will be hosting a social media mixer in the Orange Hall meeting room on Saturday, October 22nd from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Whether you enjoy trains on YouTube, Instagram, online forums, or Facebook, it'll be a great opportunity for folks to meet up and get to know one another. You don't need to have a social media presence to attend. All are welcome. So I hope to see you there so we can meet in person and chat it up. Until then, thank you all so much for watching. My name's Jason. I'll see you next time.